WDW&T, the worldwide leader in Disney Parks news. This is ParksCenter. Hello there, folks. Welcome to this week's edition of ParksCenter. Joining me on tonight's show, we have Allison.
Sivako!
Jill.
Hello.
Tyler.
I'm the one with the Pandora hat, so Sivako.
And Rob.
Howdy, folks.
I for some reason I was expecting you to join the fray on that, but
Nope. I'm already
Sound
meshing
great.
with the T-shirt over here, so we've got our thing down here.
Yeah, I like that. Oh, speaking of Epcot, our top story for the night, Illuminations had a little bit of a technical malfunction this week. Coming to us from Michael Leonard. Thank you for tweeting this at us. One of the fireworks on the footpath, just going off, middle of the show. You know, like it does. It's fine. Everybody's just gonna kind of stand around and look at it like that's on purpose.
And then turn back to watch the rest of the show, apparently.
Because that's fine, right? That's a new addition. They have very localized fireworks now. I like this.
Do we know
You
if
know what
it
the
fell... Go on.
You know what the problem is? It's just too new a show. They haven't worked all the kinks out. You just need another decade or so, and they'll get it right.
That's a good point.
Don't think they
I've
could have
destroyed
that.
Ben.
It's like the monorail. It's at the end of its
gosh.
its scheduled time to...
So I don't find this surprising at all because here's my story of collateral damage during Illuminations. Last year at the 10th anniversary event and the WDW celebrations event for the Epcot 35th, it was the day of the 35th, as Rob and Tyler are lovely displaying their shirts from that day. And we had a fireworks dessert party on the landing by the UK. And as we were standing there were chunks, and I mean like chunks the size of your hand of like mortar shells falling on us from the fireworks. So it is not surprising that maybe one of those didn't quite go off right and fell and landed in the pathway. But based on past experience, pieces of Illuminations falling on you is not a new thing. It's kind of surprising we don't see more of this happen, to be honest.
Well, what I want to know is, was this one from a firework that fell from the sky? Was it one that should have launched that way, but instead launched that way? Or was it the one that was meant to launch that way from across the lagoon, just went much further than it should have? I should have like an easel behind me to draw for where it could have been.
No, that's a really fair point though. Is like where did this come from? Like, is this just a major overshot? And like, also, what I hope. It's got to be one of the ones that shoot over the lake, because it's just doing that sparkling effect. If it was one of the mortar shells that go up and actually explode, then it would be exploding on the ground, not fizzling and sparkling like that. And that would be terrifying.
Yeah.
You know, if we have a rogue firework, and this happens from time to time, obviously the incident that happened with the mermaid attraction where that happened, and they don't light them off every night at Disneyland because of problems like this. I mean, if you have a rogue firework happening, it sounds like you need to probably replace the entire fleet of fireworks. I mean, that's just my opinion. I don't know if you guys feel the same way, but I mean, maybe the show's gone past its prime of its run, maybe longer than it was supposed to, and now it's time to replace it. Speaking of which, Ben.
Yeah. I don't know what you need me for. That speaking of things that are long past their life, Disney purportedly has not actually ordered a new monorail fleet. So a while back, we reported a rumor that had been confirmed, or pseudo-confirmed, I should say, by Bob Gurr, one of the legendary Imagineers who helped build the parks, honestly. Like, went out and said that Disney has ordered new monorails. Well, we've gone and done some digging through tax records, because that's the kind of people that we are, and we don't see any sort of record on Bombardier's taxes stating that they've got a large order from Disney, which essentially means that either Disney is trying to hide this by making a bunch of smaller purchases, or more likely they haven't done it, and so we're probably not getting monorails anytime soon.
I feel like
bothersome.
Disney knew that WDWNT would be digging through companies' financial records, and so potentially is hiding this via smaller purchases. I am terrified of the thought that new monorails have not been ordered, because if Disney picked up the phone and ordered them today, they would take at least 2 years. And the thought, the idea that the current monorail fleet will last that long without something really bad happening, I feel like is not a safe bet. In the grand scheme of, the world of risk management, this is a pretty big if they really haven't reordered those monorails.
I have to hope that maybe they've at least ordered like one, or like individual ones rather than like a giant fleet. Because like the main thing we talk about here is all the time, if they ordered a giant fleet, it's a lot of money, and then they have to justify that through some kind of profit later on if it's like for the parks, but there's no profit they can make off the monorails. So I'm hoping maybe they've only purchased one of them to replace like the ones that are doing worse. I mean, I'm never going to ride a monorail. I expect to look out a monorail window and see Doc and Marty using the monorail to push the DeLorean up to 88 hours per hour or something. But that's a completely separate reference. But like, I've lost all faith in riding a monorail at all by this point.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess it's possible they're considering replacing them piecemeal, kind of like the New York City subway system has done, because there are these trains in New York that look like it's 1983 in Soviet Russia, and others that look like, oh, this could be in Tokyo, Japan. It's very new. So I guess that's possible. But it is really disturbing to me that it doesn't seem to be a big priority for Disney to order these, because it is an iconic image of the park, and they seem to understand that, which is why they refused Siemens' offer to create a fleet with their logo on it, because they didn't want to have something that didn't look like the iconic Disney monorail.
Yeah. So, something that I think kind of scares me a little bit about this, though, is that Disney wouldn't want to be hiding this, honestly. Like, if they had new monorails coming in, that's something, honestly, that they might want to be putting a statement out saying that we've got new monorails coming. They'll be here in 2020. Like, that's a selling point. Why
we talked about that last time when the story was about the door falling off, if they had some on the way, that would have been the perfect time to step up and say, this wasn't a safety issue, but rest assured they are coming. We have ordered some, and there are more coming soon. That would have been the time for them to do it.
Yeah.
Can I just say really quick, the Toronto Transit Commission, also called TTC ironically, those are all Bombardier. So the streetcars, the buses, and all the subway trains. And we have a whole new fleet of subway trains, but when it was in the news, it was taking forever. There was always going to be listed as late because Bombardier just could not make them fast enough, and they wanted them by a certain date, which was not possible. So I just see that same thing happening here, especially being the same company. But anyways, speaking of problems,
it might end up being a different company altogether. So, anyway, speaking of PR disasters, Disney Shanghai. So there's a little bit of a problem in Chinese culture where Winnie the Pooh and Tigger, or specifically Winnie the Pooh here, it looks a little bit like President Jinping. Apologies if I'm mispronouncing that. If you want a full backstory on this, I recommend Last Week Tonight does a good in-depth look at the banning of poo in Chinese culture. But because of all of this, they're trying to get Winnie the Pooh removed from the Disney parks. It seems a bit silly to me. Like, this whole thing is very silly, but then you're going to go and take this out of the Disney park. Like, the one context where it's clearly not a reference, innuendo, insinuation, anything. It's just very clearly Winnie the Pooh, the bear, the character. And you want to rip this out of there? It's... Why?
But you look at that picture, though. That looks. I mean, the side by side. Can we look at that again? The side by side is almost unmistakable. Like, it made me laugh a lot when I saw the side by side there. So I guess from that standpoint, I sort of understand them being concerned about it. But it kind of feels like, and I almost hate to bring this up, but kind of like when the tragedy happened with the alligator. And the little boy, and them talking about removing alligators from everything, everywhere, just so that there was no visual of it anywhere. And it feels like that sort of happened a little bit, maybe, but they're different situations, but it's the same sort of thing of like taking the visual out of everybody's eyesight that says, "Hey, don't forget, Winnie the Pooh reminds you of your fearless leader." So, I mean, I do think that he's been around. The Winnie the Pooh has been around longer, so he should get dibs.
Yeah.
Although in Shanghai Disney, that's not true. Shanghai Disney's only been around for 2 years, so the Pooh in Shanghai Disney has now been there longer than Xi Jinping.
I guess I just meant the bear. Maybe you know what? I've got a replacement suggestion.
Yeah.
For Xi Jinping or Winnie the Pooh?
Oh, no, for Winnie the Pooh.
Walt didn't want a museum.
Allison, what's up?
I'm an expert in Chinese politics, but I think the problem is not that they're concerned about this representation of Winnie the Pooh, but they're concerned about people who are aware of this comparison going through and taking their own photos and then editing those photos and disseminating those. So I think they're trying to eliminate those images so that they don't have people making political statements using attractions in Shanghai Disney.
Yeah, there is a lot of censorship in Chinese culture, so that would make a lot of sense to have going on there.
I feel like we could make a whole lot of political jokes
about
this related to like American attractions.
But I'm going to say no to that and say, speaking of Shanghai, we're getting an attraction from there, the TRON coaster. And unfortunately, the Walt Disney World Railroad is going to be closing temporarily on December 3rd in order for that construction to occur. This article. The Walt Disney World Railroad will reach its end of line for a while. Oh, goodness.
Yeah, for half a second I thought you wrote that one, Ben, and then I had to look down to see that it was
really
Matthew.
Wish I could claim credit for that pun, but no, that was not me. But yeah, there will be a train parked at the Main Street station for people who are visiting to come get a look at the trains and take some photos with it, which is actually kind of cool and something you really don't get every day. But the line will be shut down while this construction is going on. We don't have an exact end date yet, but it's expected to last well into 2019 and probably somewhere in the summer most likely, but don't take that as a promise.
This sounds pretty big.
Yeah,
like it doesn't sound like they're closing it for like, oh, we just need to make a minor adjustment. This sounds like some big stuff is probably happening. And in my head, I'm like, oh yeah, remember how they rerouted the entire railroad in Disneyland for Star Wars? Like, maybe that'd be amazing if that happened, if they built like a whole little section away from the attraction, because in the concept art it has like the train going right through the middle of it, which looks slightly bizarre and very out of place. But this sounds like it's part of like the major amount of construction they need to do over the tracks before they can reopen the train again.
Yeah.
Well, Ken, let me throw in two things. One is that I think that obviously they want to keep bloggers and people like us who are just curious away from that area while they're building the roller coaster. So, the train through would be the easiest way to get there, right? So I can definitely see them just keeping that area shut down. But the other part of it is, to me, I would love, and this would be like dream come true, is if they would redo that diorama like they have at Disneyland where the train rides through the dioramas. If they would redo that using the pieces that came out of universe of energy, because they're the same dinosaurs. It's the same scene. That would be kind of the ultimate homage, I think, especially because of the way that goes underneath Tron. They would have a perfect place to have that diorama and build that building and build it into the rest of it. I mean, again, it probably won't happen, but I mean, that would be dream come true for me. If they're going to leave an attraction down for a certain amount of time, I've heard Imagineers say if we have an attraction down for a certain amount of time, we plus it out, like when they added the Disney characters to Small World. Or added the effects to Big Thunder. So it would be a great time for them to do that. And if they do stick true to we're going to plus something out if we take it away for that long, that would be an awesome way to plus it out.
Yeah, I mean, plus that would give us an excuse to put this back in the park somewhere.
Yeah, so pretty sure that wasn't in the original. Yeah. You just, what do you have that at the ready?
No, it's just a real easy Google. That
would be a fun flip the script too, from like when the dinosaurs arrived and came to Epcot and people were like standing by the train tracks to watch the trains with the dinosaurs go by, and now it would sort of be the flip of that where people are riding by and watching the dinosaurs. But yeah, and also great point, Rob, that there could be some element to it. You can see things in the construction area from the train that maybe they don't want you seeing, so they're just keeping it shut down maybe a little longer than they need to for that.
So moving from one form of transportation to another, there it is. We've got a little bit of a sneak preview for Lightning McQueen's Racing Academy that's going to be coming to Hollywood Studios eventually. I think that isn't that later this year, I believe. I mean, sorry, not this year, next year. It's spring 2019. There we go. This meet and greet with Lightning McQueen that's going to be featuring the simulator from the film. That there's going to be an animatronic drives up to it, gets on it. It seems pretty cool, and we did get to see a little bit of a behind the scenes peek of this in the Disney app, I believe. Rob, did you catch this?
Yeah, I did. Which again, Nick and I were sitting around watching Disney Channel just by ourselves, no particular reason. But there is a special that's on the Disney Now app right now, which is going to air later, I think December 1st.
Yes.
It was a 30-minute special. It was the ultimate in Disney synergy. They had Jordan Fisher was in it, and they had Gwen Stefani singing and some other things. But it was only a 30-minute special, and like the last 3 or 4 minutes of it are about this attraction, and so they talked to the animators, and again, the perfect synergy. They brought in the 2 stars of Kim Possible, the live action movie, to be the ones who are being taken through the process of what's going to happen, and it's going to happen in that Sunset Showcase at the end of over by Rock and Roller Coaster. And it looks like it's a seated sort of a thing where the screens are going to be around you. I haven't spent a lot of time in that building, so I don't really know where exactly that's going to be, but it looks like it's mostly going to be animation mixed with I guess some experiential things in the crowd, and maybe at the end there'll be a meet and greet with Lightning. I think it's Lightning, Mater, and Cruz at the end. So it's it almost, to me, it sort of feels like a Enchanted Tales with Belle, and I could be wrong, but just from what they've said, like an extended meet and greet. Like experience where you go in and you see the training and then you meet them out back and get some pictures taken, kind of a thing. It looks kind of neat. I mean, it's better than doing nothing with that space, and I'm always up for just a new attraction of any kind. So whatever it is, I'll definitely go and see it. But it feels more like an extended meet and greet from what I've seen.
Like I think it's going to be pretty cool to see this actually in existence once it's fully built. If nothing else, like I'm not the biggest fan of the Cars franchise, but this seems like they're putting effort into it, and I think you kind of hit the nail on the head there. I think this is like the boy version of Enchanted Tales with Belle, and that seems pretty cool to me that they're doing that.
And I've always felt like that the tie-in with Cars, or at least with Pixar in general, was to do John Lasseter, and it seems like it is like a bigger machine than that. It feels like every time they needed to add something, they went, oh, you know what, Pixar would go great here. Let's do some more Pixar. And oh, have you thought of Pixar? Because I have traditional values of Disney and the old school, and so I love that there's Mickey Mouse coming and some nods to some other things. Not that I don't love Pixar, because I do. I just feel like it gets a little bit lopsided sometimes, how much Pixar there is at the time, and I guess you go with what's making the money. One of the things that was told to me by somebody inside the company at one point was I was surprised that Cars Land ended up happening in general, just because I didn't see that Cars is not the number one, Pixar movie of all time. So the fact that they would dedicate this whole land to it was weird to me. But the fact that it comes back to merchandise and merchandising and how much they can make off of a specific brand, and you think of Cars and what they've done at Cars Land and the insane amounts of merch that they can make and the tie-ins that they can do, and a lot of that stuff can be done, duplicated and put over at this experience, because you don't have a lot of other places to do Cars merchandise, so you can make it for both coasts and sell it in Hollywood studios now. And if it takes off, maybe they do something bigger and better.
Yeah, I think that pretty much sums it up.
I would say I do agree with Rob's statement about, it seems like there's a lot more Pixar coming to the parks. We had Pixar Pier and the whole makeover in Disneyland. We have Toy Story Land. It's interesting that Ratatouille. It is interesting that a lot of the new stuff seems disproportionately Pixar themed.
And the world's most famous bird show, right?
Gosh, yeah.
So, yeah.
Oh, you mean an animal, right?
Yeah,
that's a good show, actually.
It's okay.
Different topic.
All right. Speaking of Pixar, though, Tokyo is going to be getting a Toy Story hotel. My mouth has decided to fail me. There is a Toy Story hotel coming to the Tokyo Disneyland Resort, which is, I honestly think this is a really neat idea. I don't think we have too terribly much in terms of like pictures at this point. We do have a little bit of backstory. Andy has embarked on the ultimate backyard project, a building to house all his toys. When Andy is called away by his mom, his toys and their helpers take over the toy tower and open it as a hotel for the honorary toys of the world. Which, I mean, it's an easy plot, but it's a good plot. I think that's pretty cool, and I'm interested and somewhat scared as to staying inside of a child's building.
Yeah, this is one of those looser premise kind of things. Like,
I just hope they don't have loose welding.
Remember when Donald's like, "Oh, Donald just found out he's a T-Rex. That's the reason that we have this thing here." That's another thing of like, what's our excuse for there to be a Toy Story hotel? Andy built a toy hotel. And then the toys bring everybody in. It's just kind of funny. Like, why do we have a Slinky Dog roller coaster? Andy put Slinky on a roller coaster toy. It's just all under that sort of flimsy pretext why it exists. That being said, I love the themed hotel. I love Art of Animation, and if it's going to be anything like that, where the theming is sort of tied directly into the design of the area, or being able to walk around like outside and seeing a lot of Toy Story theming or larger than life toy stuff like you see in like the lineup of the attraction, then this should be a fun idea. Anybody else?
Yeah.
I like this sort of foray into movie themed hotels. I think it's interesting and has some potential. We've got the Art of Marvel Hotel coming in Disneyland Paris, which I think is going to be kind of neat. And I like that they're two very different franchises. They're two very different themes and feels. And I will be very interested to see how these play out, and if maybe a movie themed hotel is somewhere in our future in either Disneyland or Disney World.
Yeah.
Wouldn't a Pirates
You mean
hotel
other
be
than
awesome?
All-Star movies?
I would totally, or Indiana Jones hotel, that would be.
Or a Star Wars hotel.
Oh.
No, I mean, like, could they do an experiential with the Toy Story thing? Probably not, right? That would be borderline creepy. But back to what Tyler was talking about the premise, and I think Ben as well, that it feels like almost the exact same premise as Toy Story Land in Hollywood Studios, that Andy decided to do this and he built it, and that's why it's there. But I mean, it sounds like not just like, hey, we're making this up off the cuff, but like we've already put this premise out there. Let's just keep running with it. And it seems like Andy is a very busy guy. I think it would have been cool to like maybe, I don't know, tie in Bonnie to this one just to mix things up a little bit.
Yeah, that would have been a good idea. Like I feel like Bonnie's not getting any play in this universe.
Any play?
Really? I was trying to dodge the pun, and then I'm like, I can't. It's
Do people like her? I like her.
I think she's great.
I don't
know why she's getting snubbed.
They want to keep it like mid-universe. Like they don't want it to be the end of Toy Story 3 and then there's this hotel. They want it to vaguely take place somewhere between the first and second movie where you have the most amount of characters.
But don't you think she's going to be a bigger deal in like 4? So, I mean, you would think that that's almost half the franchise, right? She's in 3 and 4. He's in 1, 2, and some of 3.
Right, but if Andy is the one building the hotel, then it kind of needs to take place in 1 or 2.
Yeah.
True.
All right, and speaking of toys, our final topic for the night, we've got our 50-hour marathon show coming up this weekend, where we raise money for Toys for Tots. We start Friday night at, 9 p.m. and go until 11 p.m. on Sunday. And we have a lot of programming in this block. But up front, just a little bit about Toys for Tots if you're not familiar. The Walt Disney and his animators drew the original Toys for Tots logo you can see on the bins there. Did a lot of work with the charity, which is why we've chosen to help fundraise for them. And also a great charity that's been around for forever. It's got tons of support from other folks, and we're going to try and do our best to chip in and help. We've set a fundraising goal of over $7,000. What did we set it to this year? It's, gosh, do we list that in here? I don't think we listed it here, but it's
we always try to beat what we did the year before.
I think it's $7,126. I think because we got $7,125 last year or something in that ballpark.
What's Lumpia?
What? You don't know what that is?
From Pandora.
Yeah, you're wearing the headphones there. That's
right. Okay.
So Friday night we've got the return of WDW News Tonight.
Yay!
Which is something people have been pushing for a while, and we actually have a great opportunity to bring that back. 11 o'clock that night, we're going to be doing the match game, and hopefully have more than one match occur during this game. Saturday and Sunday nights from like 1 o'clock onward, that is myself, Tyler, and a couple other folks doing all sorts of ridiculous things. We've got a bunch of moving pieces in place that we're still trying to nail down the details on. I know one of them is going to be playing the Jackbox games like Quiplash and things like that we've done before. You can play along with us in that block, and it's going to be a great time. So if you're a night owl or if you're not on Eastern time, come check that out. We've got cooking in the morning. We've got a Ride Rehab live. I think there's 2 Ride Rehab lives during this show.
We have Ride Rehab and Ride Rahab, as it says below.
Yeah, I don't know how that one happened. That's not going to be there after the show airs. We've got a bunch of games as well. We've got the Family Feud. We've got Match Game, like I said above. We've got Parks Pursuit. We've got Pyramid. And you can join us and play all those games with us. The link for how to join those shows will be sent out if it has not already been sent out. So keep an eye out for that if you like playing those. Some of the other big hits from things we're doing, we've got ParksCenter is going to be on. We've got, I said Ride Rehab. We've got Nerd Alert. We've got almost everything we've ever done here. We've got Hub like we do every year. It ends up being a bid war between me and other folks. We've got auctions at the end of the show. It's going to be a grand time, folks. Please come check that out, and if you can afford to donate to us, we greatly appreciate it. Again, you're not donating to WDWNT. 100% of the money that we take in goes out to Toys for Tots. We never even touch it.
Do it for the tots.
Do it for the tots. All right, and that is going to bring our show to a close. Thank you all for joining us. If you are watching the show and would prefer to have it in podcast form, you can search for us in most places where fine podcasts are sold. Just look for ParksCenter, and you should be able to find us. If you're listening to the podcast and would prefer to have something a bit more visual, we are on YouTube at youtube.com/WDWNT. You can subscribe to us there and hit the bell to get notifications every time we go live, which is Wednesday nights at 9 p.m. Eastern. You can also find us on WDWNtunes, which is WDWNtunes.com, and watch and chat with other folks who are watching the show there. We will be back this weekend for a special show, but we will not be back the Wednesday after that, because all of us are going to be at WDWNT Wrecks the Halls, which is going to be happening that week and weekend. December 5th through 9th is when this event is going to be. If you're not going, please check it out. Go down. It's this massive meetup for the holidays. It's going to be a grand time. We're going to have games, meetup, group rides, all sorts of stuff. Check that out over at events.wdwnt.com.
I feel like at this point you're just rubbing that in. Thanks.
Oh, sorry. I know a couple folks here can't make it. But... All right, with all the plugs out of the way, thank you folks for joining us, and we will see you again this weekend.